Oh, I've listened to a book, something by Ted Chiang, Stories of Your Life. Oh,
Yes,
what's the plot of of Stories of Your
It's
Life?
there's
like
a
what
movie.
Is based off of, I think. But yeah, it's basically like these aliens like come to Earth and they have their language, and then
Oh.
exploring like one of its themes is like the idea that like language shapes the way you think, which I
Mhm.
think is called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis.
Nice, you got it. All of these vocabulary
I
terms are on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I learned that in back in undergrad. I took the psychology of language course.
Hmm.
You know like Gary Lupian, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, he was the one who taught it.
What's
nice.
the Peer Dwarf hypothesis?
Sapir-Whorf. I guess
Sapir-Whorf?
basically my understanding is that
Superior Dwarf?
yeah, pretty much. Uh, it's just that like language shapes the way you think, basically, like to a
Mhm.
significant extent. I guess I don't think anyone really disagrees like with that. I think it's probably more a matter of degree. Like how much do you think that that's real? Like
Hmm.
it's a really important thing. Some people think it's really important. Some people are like whatever.
He has another one. I think it's like the truth of fact, the truth of feeling, or something. And it also goes into like when writing was invented, how do people think, or something? Because then what it introduces is like it's like two parallel stories. One is like a society that's just encountering.
Wait, I think maybe I remember this vaguely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a society that's first encountering writing for the first time, and then present day society encountering like this like Black Mirror type grain device that like just you replace your act of remembering things with just like querying like something and then like pulls it up in front of you.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, how will this affect how we do things?
Yeah, we would never do that though.
Never.
I'm wondering now if I actually have listened to a short story by Ted Chiang, because I listened to a short story podcast that has a lot of like science fiction,
Oh,
and I thought Ted Chiang sounded familiar, but now I'm not actually sure if I did.
I mean,
Because neither of those two sound familiar to me.
he's written a lot of short stories.
yeah, these are two out of like 16. I don't know how many.
He has at least two anthologies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
but yeah, he's pretty good. Like his like general quality level is high, but he has some where it's like it's like insanely good. Yeah. So
I can turn this off, by the way. Like we don't have
That's
to
a
look
bit.
at it.
Yeah, I don't need to see myself.
Why don't we just like pop the chat open and then like because we know the thing is good, so I'll just like look at this and then if anybody talks, otherwise we'll just like keep it low.
Nice.
Cool.
Who's Wow Hello? Is that you?
No, that was someone else. I don't know the name. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
okay, now what do we talk about?
Yeah. Well, it's the three of us for potentially the last time in a while.
In
'Cause-
person, at least.
Yeah, in person
person.
for sure. Dude, the Zoom like reboot of this podcast would go crazy.
We have to have another like COVID. We have to have like the
Don't manifest that.
Yeah, yeah. Cut the stream. That one's
eighth
out.
word. Yeah.
A hantavirus? Mm,
Yeah.
it seems like that's like not as big a concern
That's
because
what
it's not
someone said.
particularly contagious.
Yeah.
Good thing viruses don't really change, as far as I know.
Yeah. Good thing they stay exactly the same.
So yeah. Sorry.
Smooth.
So yeah.
Auspicious beginning.
Auspicious.
What? Do you guys remember what this podcast is about?
It's
I think-
really
There's not really there's it's just about whatever we want
yeah.
it to be about.
Do you remember what it was about last time? Maybe we have follow up.
I remember the last time it got very philosophical, and then we also had people calling in.
That's
Oh, yeah,
right.
we had people
I
calling
think
in. That's right.
we watched the shrimp
We
video.
watched that. Yeah, that was good.
Yes. Yeah, but it got very deep very fast. That's what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to pace ourselves this time?
I don't really know. I'm not. My hands are not on the wheel. If you guys, one thing I'll note is that for streaming, this is really interesting. The like mental space that you get in when you're streaming versus when you're not is like, I feel like it's like physically tangible for me. Like I can feel the camera. Like this is weird.
Mm.
I was like over spring break, winter break, I was like streaming a game, and it was like very interesting how it felt like I was on a stage.
Yeah.
And it's like it was like very fun because there was like a friend of mine was in the chat and was like giving me pointers whenever I got stuck in the game. But like I think without that, it was like very performative. It's like there's like another person here, basically.
Yeah, it's
but it's
weird.
like yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, this is I mean, I guess podcasts are inherently performative.
Yeah.
Like, what's the value of? Why are we recording a podcast right now instead of just having a conversation among friends?
Yeah, frankly, I don't know. Yeah, I just remember you guys said let's do it. I'm like,
Because
okay.
we're guys, and guys always have to.
True. True.
I think. Well, here's the thing. I don't have an expectation of many people watching this. I'd imagine you
No.
guys don't.
Nope.
No.
So it's not necessarily a vanity thing. I think to me, my guess is like it's fun to like role play and imagine. It's like it is performing, and performing's kind of fun sometimes, even if you're just kind of like role playing performing for an audience, because like you said, it still puts you in that mindset.
I agree with this. So it's like the formal the bar party, you remember?
Yes.
So then, Kenneth, you were not in town for this, unfortunately, because you go to a different school. But like, let's see, Max and I hosted a party with that disco ball,
Yeah,
and this
that's
party
different.
light, among other things, and that party light, and that party light.
Wow.
And the theme was like it was like a formal party, and then it's really I think what I mean, at least for me, like it invited me to be in a state of play where it was like, oh, like I have these like funny menus out where like people can order cocktails. I'm just like, oh, this is all just
I like that.
fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still have the menus over there. If we...
There are things where it's like it's great to like play act them, and then like if you did it for real, it'd be terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I
Something is
think the
lost.
internet, like our generation, I feel like kind of mastered that.
Mhm.
But well, sometimes we go a bit too far. But you know,
Mhm.
that's kind of like the thing for our generation.
Wait, mastered what? Sorry.
Like doing something that would be horrible if you were doing it like horrible or incredibly cringy if you were doing it like earnestly. But the fact that you're doing it for a bit is what makes it great.
Yeah.
Just like irony in general, would that be, or is it more specific?
I don't know, like something like I feel like this like the formal like the thing like with the formal party is that like the very fact that it's like kind of like it's like play acting is the part that makes it really good. Like it would kind of be a bit dull like if you were like actually like doing it to like be formal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
I know what you mean.
But like everyone's in on the joke and like they can like slightly wink at each other.
You know?
Yeah.
yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, the death of Chalance, I suppose.
What was that word you used?
Chalance.
Yeah, it's fake.
Chalance.
like
Like
non-chalant.
nonchalance.
Oh, the death of Chalance. Oh, wow. Nonchalant. Chalant must be a word.
I think it's one of those like null words where
What
it's
was-
like it should exist but it doesn't.
Oh, I think gormless is another one. Like
Mhm.
gormless. I don't. What does it mean? It's like you don't have like.
Without Gorm, of course.
Yeah, but gorm. But gorm doesn't mean anything. Anymore.
I like
I don't know what it means. I just heard it.
the idea of a null word that's like null both ways. Like
Oh.
Gormless doesn't mean anything, and neither does Gorm.
Yeah. Who's gorm? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for our generation, I like that because like I feel like I don't know. My sense is our generation is kind of like over the bullshit. You know what I mean?
Over bullshit.
Over the bullshit. Like I feel like it's kind of like millennials and before maybe were like you have to like you gotta well I mean I don't know, like at least like the vibe to me is like millennials and before is kind of like oh like you gotta do your you gotta straight lace your way through life, and our generation's like yeah this kind of stupid though, like we'll do it and you would do it too for a check, you know what I mean, but like we're kind of like it's just we're doing a bit,
I think it depends what subculture you're in, because
That's
I think there
probably
is
true, yeah.
certainly like I
the
mean that,
subcultures I'm in,
Yeah.
definitely.
I see people who, I mean, like I go on LinkedIn, I see people I
That's
know.
the
people
problem.
people
That's
I
the
know, I know
problem.
on LinkedIn.
That's the problem.
Speaking
You went
of-
on LinkedIn.
Speaking of LinkedIn,
You're on
I have
LinkedIn.
to
You
I
guys are both
know,
on
but
LinkedIn.
but it's for Oh.
post a we're live. Smile. Yay. Okay,
On LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn.
yeah, but we're doing it because like we're doing it because like you have to do it, and also we're doing it to be like
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No.
So there's like all these layers of irony that
Yeah.
are shielding us from harsh reality.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Also, I've
No,
heard that.
Wait, did you see my like reaction to your graduation post? Like, which was like genuine, but also I was trying to be funny.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was really good.
What was it? I didn't.
It was like, what was it? Kairos is in good hands, or I mean, it's good that your hands are in Kairos, or
Oh,
never mind, you get it.
yeah, I thought that was really good.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, on LinkedIn.
So we've been talking about generations and subcultures.
Uh-huh.
I've heard this take before. I think this is a pretty cold take, but it was just like I've just not like
Okay.
catched it before, which was that we should retire the concept of a generation
Oh,
because like people are so much more shaped by like events or whatever. So World War II, COVID or something. So it's like the post and pre-COVID people are very different.
Mm.
Or like when COVID was happening in your formative years,
Yeah,
like very different.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, but then surely.
COVID era.
So wait, so then, is this proposing that you should group people instead by, like, we have the pre-COVID people and the post-COVID people, or are you saying that like instead like it doesn't really make sense because you can make any kind of arbitrary grouping? It's like the people who were in high school during COVID and also experienced, their social media really take off, and there's also the people who were in elementary school and now they saw AI really take off and they're young. It's just like. Are you saying that the groupings are arbitrary, or there are? Well, I guess the groupings certainly are arbitrary, aren't they?
Yeah. I don't have a good sense of how you'd group people up. Yeah, because then you lose like how nice the groupings are with the previous model, I suppose.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, there must be some level of arbitrariness, but I imagine it would be something like you could try to like do like formative events. Like I guess maybe World War II is one. Like World War II was maybe baby boomers,
Mm.
right? And then like
World
maybe,
War II was the greatest. Well,
I mean like for who's like the formative, like the formative event, I guess. Like the greatest generation fought in World War II, right?
right. Was that not the formative event, or
I don't know. I mean,
depends on you mean by formative?
that's true. I guess so. Maybe it's like something like, well, anyway, like we don't have to define it by names, but like there's World War II.
Mhm.
There's like the 60s like civil unrest to like 70s maybe, and then I guess there was the 80s like revolution. Like I feel like that it's not as big as maybe the other two, but I feel like it sort of was kind of a watershed in a lot of ways, like around 1980. And then what else happened? I mean, there's something between that and probably like the financial crisis.
I mean, there's 9/11.
Oh, there's 9/11. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but 9/11 is 9/11 is like a sort of allergic reaction, I guess, basically. Say that as someone who was born that year.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then there's 2008, and then there's COVID, and then there's whatever's happening right now, I guess.
What is happening right
What is happening right now? What's the thing? What's the formative experience of this time right now?
Yeah.
Everything is shit.
now? I guess.
Everything is shit in America specifically, or
It's a good question.
Yeah, this is a
actually.
very like American.
I think definitely America.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely America, but could be the rest of the world too. Honestly, a lot of the world doesn't seem like it's doing great either.
when has the world seemed like it was doing great?
I feel like after the fall of the Soviet Union to 2008, my vibe is like people were really optimistic
Mm.
and like it was like a great time to be alive for at least some people. And then after 2008, like that's when people started kind of to realize like shit is going downhill.
Interesting. I notice a sense of pessimism and nihilism now, which I'm not on board with. I think doomerism is kind of even if it's like a likely, even if it could be, I'm not making an argument whether or not doomerism is justified or not, but I just think it's like an unhelpful thing.
Mhm.
And I think that there is like
Yeah.
I don't think you should ever condition on inherent doom because there's nothing to do about
yeah,
that.
exactly. That's very true. I strongly agree with that statement. I guess like I think they're like maybe it's like there's like easy times and there are hard times, and this is a hard time. Whereas like in like 1991 to 2008, like at least for like middle class America, it was like pretty much like an easy time, I feel like.
I feel like you'd like Kelsey Piper's Twitter bio, which is the world's not doomed. We just have a big to-do list.
Oh, that's like That's like in my soul document. Right?
Yeah.
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 Oh, I
very
like
much
that a lot. Yeah. One thing I said once that I really liked that I thought was very wise of me to say
No way, you're referencing yourself.
is that uh, is that I think it was in reference to like wild animal welfare,
Okay.
Mhm.
which is I mean like this idea that like man, why are we even talking about like wild animal welfare? Like there's no way we'd ever be able to solve that. Like it doesn't even make sense to think about. And something I was like, if like imagine if we learned today that oxygen was sentient and every time
Whoa.
you take in a breath, it's like every oxygen molecule is like screaming and there's an immense amount of suffering. So I know we're getting very deep very quickly.
Okay, yeah, but let's
Yeah,
assume,
let's continue.
let's
Let's continue.
assume that
Yeah.
this is true. Yeah.
Let's assume this and we imagine like there's really good evidence that this is true.
Uh-huh.
I mean, to me, that doesn't imply that like, oh, therefore,
Whoops.
oh,
Sorry, I was like making sure that we're.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's actually
I'm
sound.
still drinking water.
Oh, that seems really delayed. Okay.
Wait,
No,
what's
we're good.
happening there?
I think we're.
Oh yeah. That-
Oh no, the stream is. Wait, I have no idea what's going on.
we're
Is
like
this an hour back? Oh no.
no, it's like 12 minutes or something. and
Yeah.
It's like
Okay,
whatever.
whatever. Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. Oxygen molecules are sentient.
Yeah. So that doesn't. I don't think that. To me, that doesn't mean. Well, one thing it could mean is like therefore we have to like end all life in the universe because everything's breathes with oxygen, right? Maybe that's one conclusion. But the other, I think the thing I think about that is like, well, that's really bad, but I think it just means that like on our to-do list in the next 1,000 years is figure out how to not breathe oxygen,
Yeah.
which I think is like doable, right? I think if you give humans 1,000 years in under good conditions, we could figure out how to not need oxygen.
It's possible. I mean, like, well, yeah, especially with what we have now, with AI and stuff, I guess. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. That's hypey. No, I mean, like, with what we might have right now or in the future, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem. I guess anything that doesn't seem impossible seems plausible given enough time.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I get really. It's really interesting. Like this is an interesting thing that sometimes, like when I'm doing like vegan outreach on the street, people will try to tell you that your strategy is bad, which is like
No
why
way.
would they care? You know, like why would they tell you that? It's like it's a really interesting sort of psychological thing to think about for me. It's like because like it's almost no reason for them to do that. But I think yeah, it's so anyway, like that's one like thing. I think like one thing is that people want to tell you, like they'll try to tell you that what you're doing is not going to work or it's not plausible because they don't want it to happen. And one of the ways that you can get something to not happen is to get people who believe in it to stop believing in it. I think that's one thing. That's not exactly what you're saying, but like I think it's one reason that
it's-
people
yeah.
tell you like why you shouldn't believe in something bigger, like is because
They don't want to believe it. It makes them very uncomfortable.
it makes them
themselves.
uncomfortable. It's also like yeah, and then so like if they can convince you to not believe in it, then
That's not a problem.
it's not a problem for them anymore.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But yeah, the other thing is like I see on the side of like when people are pushing for like a movement. Yeah, I definitely have this perspective of like people don't dream like big enough in the sense that it is important to have like even if you can't reach it right now, it's important to like know what your North Star is kind of. Like I like that analogy because like it's like you're never gonna get to the North Star and that's not even your goal in some sense. Like you don't want to get to the North Star because you'll be dead. But like the point is like, but the point is that you use it as like a guiding light to kind of tell you where you're going. I think it's important. So but yeah, like people say like, oh I don't know, like they don't believe in like for example, like the proposition that like what if like one day that like all forms of animal farming will be ended. You know, that's super radical. Most people believe that would never happen. But I believe that it will happen.
There you go. There's two things this makes me think of. each in response to your two things. So we're gonna like tessellate like the conversation tree really quick. So then
1 billion.
yeah.
0.1 billion.
Let's see. So the first thing on like so that this I read an article the other day about like an article, it was a blog post. It was a less wrong post, actually. Kill me now. It was like
Oh, that's wrong.
it was on falsifying. It was like this move some people pull where it's like, oh, your strategy's wrong, therefore or in this case your strategy's wrong, or just like we're assigning blame wrong, therefore the problem's like not a problem because like the wrongness is like transitive or something like this. So the mental move they're pulling is like there's this thing that's happening that's not right, therefore we don't have to worry about the original thing or something.
Can you give an example?
This must be related to AI and something.
It was actually related to the hantavirus.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was like, why isn't the CDC like freaking out about this more? Or like we should be doing more about this. And then someone says, oh, are you proposing that like the CDC should have the power to like, you know, like lock up American citizens when they come from like a disease-ridden cruise ship or something like this?
Oh, I see.
And it's like, oh, like, okay, regardless of whether or not the CDC should have that power, like this doesn't absolve the problem from being bad, that like
Yes.
people that came back from a disease-ridden cruise ship
Right.
just like we didn't have protocols in place to like quarantine them or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like you're saying this true thing, but like you're not like focusing on the actual thing that's important, which is like yeah. And then in this case it's like, okay, sure, well, I actually really doubt that they had like strong critiques on your outreach strategy, but it's like, okay, sure, suppose that our outreach strategy is wrong. Like,
Right.
are you actually arguing against the main thing, or are you just like afraid to like look at it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the second thing was, oh yeah, North Star. I think it's, yeah, I agree. Like the people I've seen in my life that have like gone on to do good things, I think, and then also just like because the problems that we work with are just very like fast moving, I think, or something. And then like when you have the North Star internalized and you're able to like move when the targets move, I'm speaking like very like galaxy brained right now.
Mhm.
But all that to say, I don't know, I endorse that North Star. I think people should have that.
Yeah.
In a world as uncertain as this one, you can't be too attached to one path.
There are many paths to a single destination. Yeah. Some of them are better than others. But yeah, just because the path is wrong doesn't mean the destination is.
I think it's a good thing to be able to do what you're talking about. Is recognize that something is bad, regardless whether or not you have a strategy to fix it. Like,
Wow.
and I think it's like a defense mechanism, like you're saying, that people don't want to believe.
Yeah.
People don't want to believe that like it's possible, or like, you know, in the example of like, I think it's very good for someone to acknowledge that factory farming is bad, even if they participate in
Yeah.
in factory farming.
Mhm.
And in fact, I think that's like not even like, I think people tend to believe that that's worse than like the not believing factory farming
That
is bad.
interesting to me.
But I think that's like it's at least neutral, and I think it's probably better, right? I think it's better to acknowledge that you're a hypocrite than to like not acknowledge like the problem at all.
Yeah.
And I don't, and like I said, like I would judge someone higher if they like, it's like, oh yeah, I at least acknowledge I'm and like probably I want them to be like, to not be like, and I don't give a fuck what you think, and I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
eating animals no matter what. At
Oh,
that point,
yeah.
maybe I'd be like, okay, you're kind of like a
We
gross
don't talk to those
person.
people. Yeah.
Yeah,
If
right.
someone says that on the street, we're just like, all right, conversation over.
Yeah, it's like it's one. Yeah, like don't like revel in like the
Yeah,
badness
okay, yeah.
of the thing.
That to me is just like, yeah, no. dude.
But I don't really know anyone that does that.
I don't know anyone.
People
who does that.
100 million% exist that are like
No,
this.
they're
Yeah.
Yeah, but like people exist.
has footage of these
Oh,
people.
no.
Yeah.
People exist in every person exists.
Yeah, every person.
Every
exists.
person exists.
And also that
You know
too-
what? I agree. Every person exists.
Well, also that too could be a defense response to someone like being scared, and like maybe like deeply internally they do think like, man,
Yeah.
maybe they feel really guilty, right? And so like the only
Agreed.
response they have is to be like, oh, there, I have to like one thing, it's not ignoring the problem. And I know I said this is a bad thing. You shouldn't revel in badness, but like at least it's like it's acknowledging the problem. So it's honestly like almost like closer to the solution than not believing the problem exists at all.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is like
Yeah.
change their mindset into like, oh, actually, no, I should care about this instead of reveling in the badness.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree. Like at least in some cases, like that can be just a sign that there's some cognitive dissonance going on,
Yeah.
but they're maybe they'll come back later. I think like don't quote me on it, but I think that ASAP actually might have some stories that are like that, but you would have to ask them. You have to like ask Faraz.
And like everyone has cognitive dissonance, right? It's just like you just like and people, and it's an unpleasant thing to deal with. So that's why people just like they'll do what they can to relieve their cognitive dissonance.
Oh, to your point, Reed, as well. Like there's some interesting, and I want to like think about this more deeply, but there's like some interesting research that has been done on like, I guess what I'll just ad hoc like term like motivated ignorance.
Oh, interesting.
Like yeah, like so like you may have heard things like some people, if they are presented with like the opportunity to learn, oh, we were way behind, yeah. If they're presented with like the opportunity to learn like about factory farming, like then they will say, like they will tell you like, no, I don't want to learn about it, which suggests like it's a bit of a strange thing. That's not the most interesting version. There are actually like stronger versions of this where like like people show. So like for one thing, like in certain kind of like sort of like economic games, like they will show like a desire to avoid information that could sort of like force their hand into like being more generous.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's one thing. And then there's other stuff like with the self, like for example, Huntington's, like people who have like people in the family who have Huntington's disease, like will actively choose to not learn whether or not they have Huntington's, like even though it would be beneficial for them, for their potential children, for anyone like in their families. So anyway, so this is like to say that there's like some evidence that shows these interesting like motivated like ignorance like things, and it kind of goes to show it's like I think it's interesting because like to me what this suggests is like at least in the like other facing like situation, like maybe one of the reasons that this happens is because like it's adaptive for you to be able to tell other people that you don't know. So like evolution or people have like thought steps ahead to be like, oh, I just didn't know, like and then so like you kind of have to be like, when you like dig into it, it's like wait, like how evil are we? Like what I mean? Like even like our ignorance is not like is not an excuse anymore. Like even not knowing at all, like in some sense, like maybe not like the most innocent sense, but even like, oh, I didn't know, like could just really be like, well, you chose not to know. You chose to kind of be in this conspiracy. Like, well, that's strong language, but there's some element of like some part of you is conspiring with like like the rest of the system, I guess, to kind of be avoiding this information.
This reminds me of simulacra levels. Do you guys know about this?
Yeah,
I've heard this term.
You heard this term?
I
So it's
kind of thought about this a little bit too.
yeah, it sounds parallel, though I'm not sure it's exactly, because you're introducing this element of ignorance or something,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure it entirely maps on. But yeah, simulacra levels are just like levels, like motivations behind you saying a thing. So if I say like there's like a line across the river, level 1 is like there's a line across the river. Like other levels are like, oh, like I'm saying this to signal like my membership of an in-group. So it's like there's a line across the river because like everyone else agrees that there's a line across the river or something like this. I forget what like some of the other ones are. Let me think. There's something else you said where it was like, oh yeah, I think like the reason why people also like the example about the Huntington's disease, I think it's like even though it's beneficial, I wonder if this is like just like a misdefinition of what people like track as beneficial, because it's like, oh, like I mean like loosely, like logically it's beneficial for them to know this, but it's like if you include like the sum total of everything. Like maybe it's not actually.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, like yeah, my life actually would be worse if I knew this.
Yeah.
And then it's
Yeah.
like emotionally or something like that.
I guess yeah, this goes back to so like something one of my professors was saying to me is like that like that a rational agent should not mix beliefs with utilities. I think something like this.
That sounds
Utility.
that sounds good. Tell me what it means.
So like it means that like you should not my understanding is that you should not it means that you should not like you shouldn't like feel better or worse based off of information that you learn.
Whoa.
Right? Like so like I guess which kind of like makes maybe some sense. Like
if you find out you have Huntington's, you're no worse off because you could
it's better for you to know. Like
Right.
I guess in some sense the way I think about it, which makes sense to me, is like that nothing really changed. You just learned that something about reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like you had Huntington's the whole time. You just learned that you did. You know.
Yeah.
as a worst case scenario, you could always choose to act in the same way you would have acted if you hadn't learned in the first place. But at least now you
Yeah.
have the
So
option
like
to take
a
over.
rational agent should never be worse off for gaining information.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like that's sort of the idea. But like yeah, so like this whole line of like results sort of trying to show like in fact perhaps like we're not like that rational agent like
What?
in
No way.
you know in the sense that like we can be made worse off by gaining information that is like unpleasant to us or whatever.
Yeah.
Like and that we actually like do place like maybe we could say like some intrinsic utility on the information itself, even though a rational agent would never do that.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like the scope and sensitivity problem, right? Where it's like you could like there's a million birds in an oil spill and you could spend the rest of your life cleaning birds
Mhm.
and you wouldn't get to all the birds that were affected by the oil spill and you don't even care about birds all that much, right? It's like
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that like if you think of your brain as like computational resources, right? Like if you like you can't really just unless you're like very good about this sort of thing ignore a problem like once you know it exists. So once you know about like with the 1 billion problems that exists, right?
Mhm.
Right. Oh, like or even on a personal level, right? Like I don't make enough money at my job and my marriage is kind of on the rocks and I have Huntington's. It's like-
wow,
Jeez.
what a person.
It's like-
probably this. Honestly, I'm sorry who that is. Yeah,
It's like, but then it's like those things are all taking up resources in your brain that you can't just like shut off, and it's gonna
yeah,
plausibly make it worse to solve any one of those problems.
yeah,
And I would guess that like probably, I would guess that like the more you are in control of your life and like the things, then like the problems and have an ability to deal with those problems, I would guess the more likely you are to like say yes, I want to know that if I have Huntington's or not.
yeah.
Mm.
And I guess like to the like when you take it to the limit, like there's a way in which it kind of makes sense, although it never quite crosses into the realm where it does actually make sense. But it like you can see it better. I guess I feel like where it's like I think to me there's a rational case to be made that if you genuinely 100%, let's say like objectively 100% that you cannot solve a problem, then like you should not, like you would be better off just kind of like trying to be happy rather than spending all of your resources solving that problem, like or trying to solve that problem.
Mhm.
That makes sense. Although like the thing is there like right like so even there like a rational agent is not made worse off by gaining more information. They're simply like indifferent or something in the very worst case. But yeah, like it sort of makes sense that people I think sometimes ignore things that like they think that they can't change or that they're not willing to put in the effort to change, because that's just like an easy way to like not have to deal with that, is just to like kind of like ignore it or to put it out of mind once if someone is trying to make you aware of it. Yeah.
So the person that chooses not to learn about the horrors of factory farming, like they see it as like such an intractable problem that like it's like, well, like it to them that it almost is like 100% certainty
Mhm.
they're not going to learn it, so they might as well, like that's maybe their like kind of internal logic, right? That they might
Yeah.
as well not learn it. Though it doesn't necessarily make sense when like you think about like, well, okay, but like you could still have a marginal effect by choosing to eat to eat less meat, but then maybe that's like maybe they even view their own ability to not eat meat as like a completely 100% intractable problem.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I wasn't. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, so I think like when I think about, maybe I won't say a rational person, but let's say someone who's like reasonable. I I'm not sure if I'm using this as a canonical definition, but I'll just use the term anyway. But like let's say like a reasonable person, like it is really interesting to me like that like a reasonable person, it is reasonable to like not care about factory farming. I'm gonna say that. Like in the sense that like if you do like the sort of like cost benefit trade-off of um like to me like uh the like from my like purely strictly self-interested perspective, like yeah, I get some utility out of like eating animal products, or like um uh the convenience of things, not having to deal with like social um you know reprobation, not having to have the negative utility of learning about all this stuff, like all of that, like so there's those consequences, and then like but there's negligible consequences for like ignoring it, like for most people I think like you won't be around, you don't have to be around people like who will like shun you for this. Most people will not do that, like no one will ever like come after you for doing that. um yeah, like there's no like, I mean, there's no like real like human catastrophe that like this will cause that will ultimately come back to bite you. So really like it's very interesting that it's like when you do it that way, when you, it's like a purely narrowly self-interested calculation, I feel like it kind of it's understandable. It's the weird thing is that anyone at all cares, like, you know what I mean? Like to me that's the interesting thing, because like there's nothing that like at this point should make anyone care that much.
besides
I don't know.
altruism, maybe.
Besides altruism, or something like it, like wanting to be seen as like a good person.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's like the argument that factory farming could cause really bad diseases,
It could,
like
but it's probably not going to happen.
oh,
I mean, like, or at least like not. Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it will. Like but I shouldn't say like any real like objective probabilities, but like your subjective probability I think should be like based on what people know and based on their prior experiences. They should think that that's very unlikely, and also that like their action is unlikely to change that. So that like that doesn't really add too much to their like utilities. Is my like kind of the way I would see it.
do you think there's a place for shame in advocacy? Like this is the point we
Whoa.
have, like
Oh, well,
like you
here's where I
should
come in. Yeah.
you should feel bad, like you said, like should there be a consequence of like, oh, like we're going to shun you, you should feel bad, because in one sense like you can like take all the things you're talking about and like, oh, people are locked within their own, they're being rational agents in many ways, and therefore we can't really blame them for taking the actions that they do, and so therefore we should be gentle and like use a light touch and like help them see and make incremental progress, so eventually they can understand that like there is a better way.
Yeah.
Or is there how much of a place is there for like, no, you have to like, what's wrong with you, be better, be a better person, just be pure and simple, be more moral.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. One thing I would say is I think that you can separate shame from radicalism. Like I think what we want to do is like, and what an organization like ASAP Allied Scholars for Animal Protection like does, like most of the time, and like I would say is like the way that they want their outreachers to do outreach, is like they want to provide like a radical vision of the future and of like what a person can do, but like do so in a respectful way, and a way that's not shaming people, while also still holding them responsible. So it's like sort of like you do have to be skillful as like an outreacher when you do that. So that's one thing I will say. The other thing I'll say is that I'm sort of like I'm personally like someone who's very against shame, like as a personal value of mine. I will say that like as I've been getting into doing like pressure campaigns, I've participated in a few at this point. Um, Pressure campaigns are like where you go and like you basically protest an establishment for. So like usually what you do is you have an ask for them. Like let's say like maybe you do like you want like one example is like that there was a campaign recently to get like the Marriott to um fulfill like its promise to make all of its eggs like cage-free sources. They promised this like 10 years ago, and then like they still haven't met their like gotten anywhere near like what they promised, and so like activists around the world have like come back and like sort of like protested outside of Marriott's. That was one of them I participated in, and like I think like the thing there is so like this is where like there are different tactics for different situations, because like what you do like in outreach situation is very different from what you want to do in like a pressure campaign situation. Like if you use the same tactics for both, like that's going to be bad for at least one of those cases. But like so in a pressure campaign, like what the goal is not to convince people like to change their opinions. Like what you want to do is make everyone's theirs lives as miserable as possible, so that like that the establishment just feels like they just like they have to do like because they're losing business, or like that they have because they're people are like shouting like get your refund like at the Marriott, and then people are like, well, I want my refund now because like I've been shouted at for hours, like what I mean, like this is like a nuisance, like and then the Marriott's like, well, we would rather like fulfill our cage-free promise than like have to deal with these activists coming back like every month or whatever, or however many times like they're gonna come back, which like let me tell you, whoever's out there, animal rights activists are very persistent and they do not forget. So like you're gonna have to deal with them until either all of them die or like until like you fulfill their promises. But
we know you're listening, CEO of Marriott.
Yeah, we know you're listening.
We know you're among the one of two watchers on this podcast.
But yeah, so like that's the difference, I think, and that's like where I've sort of been like persuaded like that it's fine to like be like shame on you, because like the point is to again make everyone there feel as miserable as possible. Like it's not to change people's minds. I don't know. I mean, I've seen like some sort of like I think I've seen like perspectives on both sides. So I don't know exactly where I stand on it. But I think there's a case to be made like in those specific cases that it might make sense.
This is not the line I expected you to take on that, actually, for
really?
the pressure campaigns. That it was not to change people's minds, but it was like to annoy people and make them miserable or something.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because like so like my understanding of like this is not pressure campaigns, but like I'm thinking of like boycotts or something like this, where it's like, okay, we're not gonna buy your product, and then like this like kind of forces your hand to like change. Like I'm thinking like people wouldn't buy from like a Hearthy brands or something like this. But then this doesn't really work as much now because of like globalism and all that. It's like, okay, like some subset of our customer base is like briefly mad at this thing and is like, oh, this is gonna pass by next Tuesday. And then in my head, the way that the pressure campaigns worked, or the shame things worked, was that it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of embarrassing that we aren't doing this, and like people think that we're weird because like we've changed their mind on this thing, versus like, oh, like they aren't using our service anymore because they've been annoyed by these protesters or something. Yeah, I guess like an example of this was like, I think maybe it was like OpenAI child protections or something like this, or like OpenAI was involved. I forget how, but like something leaked, and then like someone like pointed it out, and they're like, oh yeah, it's kind of embarrassing that we didn't do this. And then this was not like a sustained campaign by any means, but like sort of like the shame mechanism involved of like, oh yeah, why aren't we doing that? I guess maybe that leads into like PR or something.
I see.
An image, but yeah, I kind of expected that angle, so I was surprised when it veered into the oh yeah, we're gonna like annoy the Marriott customers or something like this. But it's an interesting, yeah, I didn't expect it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like, tell me. So the OpenAI situation with the children or whatever, sort of been probably buried under all their other scandals. You have to tell me about that.
10 have happened in the last minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, do you want like concrete details on that?
Maybe just like a little more context.
Yeah, this was actually like really fuzzy. I don't know if you guys can tell. My brain is like really fuzzy. I was just in like 3 hours of meetings,
Oh.
and then now I've got this one.
Apologies.
I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. This is a good one. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe like when I'm more cognizant, I can pull on that thread another time. But like I basically like I'm just expressing that. Yeah, you've changed my view on how these work a little bit because I wasn't expecting that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some my friend who like got me into them and who's done a lot of good activism is sort of the person who like I guess I changed my view on it as well because like when I was first doing that and I was like that was the part that really kind of got me hung up. It's like I didn't like saying like shame on you, like go to hell or whatever, like sort of stuff, but like because I thought I was like, well, this isn't gonna like like nobody is gonna like see this and be like, oh, like these people are upstanding citizens or whatever. But then he's like, no, that's not the point of this kind of campaign. I was like, okay, well, I guess once he like gave his reasoning, I understood that a bit better. Yeah.
Of course, like these things don't exist in a vacuum, and you say that like using one strategy for another thing is going to be bad for at least one of those things.
Mhm.
But to an outside observer, they don't know what you're trying to do, right?
Yes. Well,
So, like, how do you deal with this? That like someone
Yeah.
watching is gonna be like, oh, look at these people like trying to shame. This isn't gonna change my mind.
yeah,
Now I'm just mad
that's
at
I
that.
think the one thing where that like that's the thing where it makes sense I think to be careful about that. And like for me, I think that's why maybe that's like one of the things that like sort of was behind partially behind that objection that I was having to that. I think like it's actually like there are a lot of things that you can shout at like some like an establishment and be annoying about, and I think or like being loud about, I should say. And I think that makes sense. Like for example, for example, you could say like you could shout like 50 dead animals, one fur coat. Like that's something that people shout, and I don't think that that is like as shaming as like like shame on you. Like it's sort of like you could see that more as like if that was like if it's just a message of like shouting like things like what's going on, like what is the gravity of the situation, what are we demanding for change, even things like set them free, like open up the cages, like those sorts of things. I think like so it's not like all of the like catchphrases, but there are some that are like kind of shaming, and that like if people were to see that, I could see why that would like get that sort of negative publicity.
Mhm.
So I'd be willing to kind of strike like some of the shaming things from the book, especially if we're doing like a protest that we expected to like kind of get a lot of publicity.
Mhm.
But it is sort of like a factor of like I think like how much do you expect this to like go viral? Like if it was mostly like that you don't expect anyone else to see this except for like Marriott, then I think it does make more sense like to kind of add in the shaming thing. If you expected this to be more protest that's like a PR thing, then yeah, you probably want to be like cognizant about like the sort of phrases that you're throwing out there. That's my thought on that.
I like get your refund because it brings the customers in on it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, hey, like we're with you. Like you should like they promised cage-free eggs and you're getting these shitty eggs. So like you should be mad too. I think that seems
Yeah.
it's definitely shaming the Marriott while Flossie also being good press because you are at least allegedly on the side of the
Yeah.
consumers.
This is why I personally, I think I like going after, or like I would want us to more go after like big businesses, like national, international chains, rather than sometimes we go after like small or like local stores, and I'm like I just don't think I don't think that's effective because like what are you gonna do? You're gonna change like that one store,
Mhm.
The other thing is like that it just looks bad because like you're
Yeah.
going after small local business.
Yeah,
like
that's
nobody
mom,
likes
that's mom and pop. You know.
yeah,
it's like-
exactly. Whereas like if you go after big company, nobody likes big companies.
Mhm.
Like so like you can easily just be like, well, they're doing something bad, and people will probably believe you. They'll be like, oh yeah, they probably are doing something shady. Like how did they get that big? You know what I mean? I don't care what the business is or whatever. But they probably did it. They are evil or whatever. They're stealing our money, whatever, something. Hiding something. So you're probably right. We're on your side.
Yeah.
That's my thought. With that, I guess. Yeah.
Well, what this makes me think of is like there's a whole art in like sloganeering and like taking a message and like compressing it into like something that's like like good to shout, and then also like people will listen to. There's this like workshop I went to where it was like we were like taking like increasingly like weird scenarios and then like seeing if we could like workshop it into like first like a paragraph long message and then like a slogan. And then it was like I think oh no, my brain's too gone to like think of it, but it was like trust me in that it was really clever for like this really weird
Could
scenario.
have had such a clever catchphrase.
Yes, yeah. So just pretend I said something really clever.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so that there was that. Yeah, yeah, and I think like this is why I was talking with Sam B. I don't know if you guys have met him, Sam Baumel.
Bamu.
Yeah.
So that on like the like slow but rising tide of like AI safety activism on university campuses or something like this.
Yeah, we
And
can
then
get
like
into that.
yeah, his perspective is like yeah, like these groups need to talk to marketing majors, and I'm like yeah, that probably yeah. But yeah, that was that.
Probably, yeah. They probably do. But at least they're doing something, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. At least because like there's probably something about like I don't know. At what point is it like if you do it poorly enough, is it counterproductive? Which I think it is. But then also like that's not like maybe that's like not a message you tell. I don't know.
I do think, like, yeah, there is, I think there's value. It's just challenging because, again, like, there's multiple reasons that you tell someone they're bad at doing something.
Yes.
And we are not always aware of which reasons we have, or if we
Yes.
have multiple reasons for doing so. So that's the danger, I think. But yeah, no, that's true. I think like the thing is that I think yeah, so there, that's true. I think there is like you want to be careful that you could do something badly enough that it is counterproductive. But yeah, at the same time that like I think like absent that concern, I think like it's better to do something badly than not do it at all. And like part of that is because like doing something badly gives you practice and like allows you to get feedback so you can do it better in the future. So there's value there. I think that like sometimes gets missed.
Yeah, I guess I'm just so like wary of like doing things badly in a political context or something, or not like. I mean, you guys get what I mean? Like even like decoupled from like politics, as you know, just like high political or like low political environments. It's like, are people invested in a thing versus if they're not? Like doing things badly, and like this is why it's so tricky, is because like the environment is so hostile. Like if you do it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tell me more. Yeah.
Let me think. Um, I'm skeptical if there's like if you really gain a lot out of organizing like a highly visible protest that like 5 people come to.
Oh, that is true. That's definitely a concern.
Because it's like what have you learned by doing this? I guess. If
Right.
if
I guess-
the conceit is yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I do think like the thing that's interesting is like the thing that's interesting and well, okay, this goes back to like maybe like one of Celeste's concerns yesterday when we were talking about
Yeah,
this.
my mind is on that conversation
Uh-huh.
too.
Before you got there, Reed, like we were all talking about this, and then I told Celeste about like the sort of thing that we were trying to do in Pittsburgh, and then she was just kind of like, like, you know, she had some concerns about that, and you know, some of them, at least some of them were fair. So like, but I think like it's interesting because like with like the animal activism movement, like at least like from the people who I know, like they have a lot of experience, and I'm sure like sort of like multiple like generations of like mentorship and like sort of like passing down like received wisdom as to, like what are the sort of things that you should do, like what are the sort of strategies that you have, why do we do this, like whereas like yeah, it might be that at least like I'm assuming like I'm assuming that like the like when you're saying like AI protesting, like maybe it's like AI safety people who are trying to like get into protesting things, or is it just like sort of more
Well, yeah, those are all the people that I'm exposed to. Yes, it's like
Okay.
vaguely affiliated. Yeah.
right? Because like there might be like people, for example, who are doing like I don't know. I mean, I don't know like how accurate of a characterization this is, but something like of the vibe of it's grassroots like anti-data center Bernie people,
Hmm.
which is a very different demographic than like AI safety people. Probably a demographic that has a lot more experience like in organizing and activism. And like whereas like these AI safety people maybe like what was it Celeste said? They're not the kind of demographic that like has a lot of overlap with that, and she's probably right. Um, and so that does make sense, like that, like there would be a lot of value lost, like in that, like they, like for example, like when I sort of like my idea of like what protesting and stuff looks like was very different, like even like a half of a year ago, just because I didn't know all the stuff like that, like I know now because of like my exposure to other people who've been in the movement and like participating in some things. And so yeah, I could imagine them like so just kind of being like, oh, like we're just gonna get out there and like, you know, we're gonna not have a particular target, and we're gonna, you know, not necessarily organize it super well, and so not a ton of people are gonna show up, and we're just gonna stand there with our signs, and that's it. Like that could, yeah, and that could like be pretty ineffective. I do think so. I don't know. I mean, again, I think so. Maybe there's two things. One is like it goes back to that whole thing of like that we were saying at the beginning of like that just because like the particular way of like doing it is bad doesn't mean that it's like not something that needs to be done somehow. Like again, the analogy to the CDC of like maybe it's not the CDC that should be like arresting people, but like maybe we need something like that is along the lines of we need some way to like quarantine people away from the general population who are suspected of having the virus. And so it's like similar here of like maybe like these are not the best people to alone by themselves be like trying to organize these things, but maybe like what they need is like they need someone who has like expertise and experience in this to like help them sort of like be more effective. But like it is good, I think it is good that they have like the drive to like get out there, and that we do need that, we do need something, is like kind of what I believe. Even if that exact like even if that is maybe not it in the sense narrowly of, I guess like, so basically like that narrow sense of like just them like kind of doing it by themselves, but like that doesn't mean that like all activism for AI is like sort of like, you know, bad. Like that's sort of two different things, if that sort of makes sense, I guess.
I feel like this is kind of like intractable advice because it's just like, oh, do protest good. Well, it's like, how? That's the thing, right?
Well, right.
It's like,
So that there is a thing of like how it's interesting to me. Like I've sort of thought about like, well, how did people like come up with these things in the first place? Because someone had to be the first protester. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so they must have like, and I don't imagine that they were very good at it when they started. But it's sort of like, again, that I think this does come back to like, but through the generations, like this sort of has been refined and hardened through practice.
Was Celeste's point kind of, was it more like AI safety people don't know how to do protests, and so
Yeah.
they need to learn it, or was it more like AI safety people are inherently not the people that are going to be able to do good protests, and so they should focus on other things besides?
Well, I don't know what-
definitely not that. I don't think.
Mhm.
It's much more the first one.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, because like I would definitely say that I would take it as the first one, like as in like AI safety people need to learn how to do it, and they probably don't overlap very much with demographics that have a lot of experience doing that.
Sure, that definitely makes sense to me.
Right, but I think like actually like the thing is, like what I would like to see is that there is like a greater interaction between AI safety people and like and these grassroots like other like sort of factions that are also against like you know, the oligopoly of like crazy AI companies that are determined to race to the bottom. So that's one thing, and I also think that like if you like, I do think it's a good look if you can get someone who is, you know, at a prestigious like institution who's like a researcher, and then they're like, I'm out here on the streets. It's like,
Yeah.
well, why is someone like this out here on the streets? It's like, well, it's that important, you know, that like I feel this way, and you know, they can also speak to like, you know, I work with this for a living. This is my thing. Like this is my whole education, my whole job. And not only am I saying like this is bad, not only am I signing like whatever like, you know, meaningless petition like that like comes out every 6 months or whatever, you know, I'm really out here, like, I'm willing to, like, be out here and make a fool out of myself a little bit, you know what I mean, like, to be seen by the world, and, like, maybe even to expose myself to a little bit of, like, uh reputational damage, and maybe even like some like, I think, like, probably, like, I'm gonna guess that this sort of like settings that these people are in, like, they're probably not going to be exposed to a bunch of like physical violence or anything, but still, there's maybe some risk of like, oh, like, if it gets out of hand or somehow or something like that, like that they might, but like, I think the very fact of like showing up at a protest, like, it just shows like some more commitment, and like that they're really serious about it.
The word that comes to mind to me of this idea of the ivory tower professor stepping down from their like
Yeah.
haloed self to like join everyone else is like, it's earnest, I guess. It's like, oh, I'm like taking this seriously, genuinely, like I see where you're at. And that is what I think is missing from like the first thing you mentioned about like, I think the ASAFT people should engage more with like the grassroots people, because like the attitude I so often see is like, it's kind of like sneering. It's like, oh, like, didn't you guys read the Andy Maisley posts about how like data center AI water usage is fake or something like this?
Yeah.
Oh, like, you stupid people, like, we need to be caring about like loss of control or something like this. And I think yeah, like yeah, Ernest, it like, this is like an entirely separate thread. Yeah, actually, I'm not gonna get into that. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with the very. I want to say it's cold, but like in these circles, perhaps it's lukewarm, that like people need to engage more with like the, I guess, like the prosaic risks. Let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is in that scenario. It's definitely going to be challenging to organize with people that, like, if you have like, if one person is organizing about like water usage and the other person is organizing about loss of control. Like, unless there's like very specific like discussion organized ahead of time, like the message we're focusing on is slow down AI, right? That's the thing they agree on, and have very different reasons for doing it. So I think they're gonna have a hard time coming together unless they're very purposefully and strategically saying like, well, we have the same goal, and we're just not going to talk about the other thing.
Right, which
Yeah.
is like hard to come to because there's no like an organizing force so much for the safety folks. I think yeah, I agree with this tension. I'm not sure what the synthesis is.
The synthesis?
Or like what, like when you put these two camps together and they talk, like what comes out of it ideally.
Mhm.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason to try it, is because we don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, so like, and maybe the only way to find out is if we try. I mean, and maybe like the answer is nothing because they're just irreconcilable. But I don't think that that's true. I think that it's just, we have to try. We have to try harder, and we have to be more creative, um and yeah, and I don't know. We should do that.
Activism is not doomed. We just have a long to-do list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, the other thing was that I've sort of like, back in like 2024, I was kind of like of the position of, I feel like I was a sneerer a little bit. Like, I remember saying to like my master's advisor, like, he asked me point blank if I thought like average people were stupid, and I said yes. And I think that's like the worst thing that I've ever said.
Oh no!
Like, and but like I think I've had like a sort of fairly radical like reversal of my like former position of like, and like now I think like elitism from like the like generally like the sort of liberal educated like elite like is a huge problem. Like, I don't know, like, people, they don't know everything. They may not be like, they may not be necessarily like the brightest, like, geniuses or whatever at everything. They may not be the most they may not be like the most like always like active about everything, like prioritizing exactly the right issue or whatever. To like, one thing is that neither is the elite. I think like, sometimes it's like elites think that they're really smart, and it's like, well, you're not that, you're still human, you're still stupid like the rest of us, just a little, you're a little you can use big words and stuff like, to like, you know, to cover your stupidity a little bit. Um, that's one thing. And then the other thing I think is just, I don't know. I mean, like, for example, like, I think people are generally kind of like on the right side of like, I've noticed that they're kind of on the right side of a lot of issues, like the majority of people. Like, the majority of people hate billionaires. They hate like massive wealth inequality. The majority of people, like, at least they will say like they want farmed animal welfare. Like, and they'll vote for it. Like, if you give them a ballot measure, they'll vote for it. And the majority of people are concerned about AI and think that like what the companies are doing right now is like massively irresponsible. So it's like, you know, like when you look at that, it's like, wait, like, you know, are people actually smart? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are they really? You know, maybe they're right. And it's like, so then it's like, it's not like when you look at it from that point of view, it's like it's not like the majority of people who are the problem. It's like these special interests, like who are made up of like mostly like the elites, who are the ones who are driving us like into all of these problems. Like, you know, it's like, you know, what's going on there. So to me, it's like it's almost like this reversal of like I've become a lot more like sort of like, you know, I don't know, like suspicious of like elites and like and a lot more like sort of like friendly, I guess, towards honestly towards like populism.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, because like I don't know. I also read this book, like it's called Not Born Yesterday by this guy named Hugo Mercier.
Yes, you. Yeah.
I mentioned it, yeah, because my advisor had me read that. My
Mhm.
my doctoral advisor had me read that, and like it makes the argument that like populism is not as like bad as like a lot of people made it out to be. Like that actually, like for example, like you guys may know like I've heard of like Demosthenes, I think, like the demagogue of ancient Greece or of ancient Athens, who is sort of like maybe like the OG like rabble rouser, like and is sort of like maybe the original like example of or like the parable maybe of like, oh well, you know, there's some like populist leader who comes along and like he like dupes the stupid masses into like believing him and like, you know, doing some stupid shit. But like actually like that they show even like way back then that like actually like the popular they're the story is more that like that these popular masses actually oftentimes like try to restrain like these demagogues rather than like kind of just being like some crazy mob. And there have been instances where like there have been crazy mobs like throughout history, but that is just one side of the story, I guess. So I've sort of been like a little more convinced to that like this is like overblown and also again like that this is a narrative that plays into the elite's hands like the and whether intentionally or not like that many elites like even the founding fathers like have sort of like pushed that elite like they wanted to deny like the popular franchise like if you look through history like you'll see that like people like Alexander Hamilton were concerned they didn't want to extend the franchise to like all males and like the reasoning being that like they were afraid of like the sort of populism stuff. So I think actually this gets into another gripe of mine, which is like, so do you guys know like the book How Democracies Die?
No.
No, I've never. No.
Okay, so there's this book that was written by these political scientists, like liberal political scientists, called How Democracies Die, and it sort of makes the argument that so basically the reason that we sort of see the hyperpolarization and of today is that so we used to have like these procedures in primaries that sort of like that were like sort of like undemocratic but were so like basically the way that like you determine like so primaries, right, like they determine like who is like the candidate that like goes for election from a party, like representing a party. But like before that, you know, you have to choose from your pool of like eligible candidates for that party. Like before 1970 or so, like the way that that worked was that there were party delegates that elected, like basically came together and voted for who would represent the party during that presidential election. So it wasn't really like a democratic process because like normal voters did not have a say in that. Like it was like in many cases, like um, the one that they would have like like been very behind was not picked by like the delegates. But then after 1970, like the Democratic Party and especially the Republican Party actually opened it up so that it was like more of a democratic process. So that you voted to like the voters like picked like who would come out of the primaries. And then they argue that that was like one reason that like you have like these like sort of out of establishment figures culminating in like Donald Trump like getting out of the primary, especially the Republican primaries, and sort of taking the country in these like crazy like directions. Yeah, I was sort of like sympathetic, I guess, to that case back when I read it, but I don't know. I mean, I still have to come up with like why or like what are the reasons that sort of like disprove that thesis. But again, I think I don't know. I sort of don't think that like the right solution to that to me is sort of like restricting like democracy. Like I think that the right solution is to me anyway, and this might be a bit controversial, I guess. I have to think more about this, but I think the right solution would be to try to like fix the issues that are sort of like underlying like the populism when it arises, is like sort of my thought with that. Oh, also fun fact, apparently like before like 1910, like senators were also not elected democratically.
Really?
Yeah.
This is so weird.
Yeah, like so like it used to be, I don't remember how exactly they were elected, but they actually had to pass an amendment so that like senators were elected directly by the population rather than by like sort of some convention or something like that. Not sure. So yeah, like there's been a sort of like steady process of like democratization, and so like, but this book is sort of like arguing against that almost. It's like saying like we should go back to that, and to me that's sort of not like it's morally wrong, but it's also I worry that like that it's sort of like we actually do have a better solution, but like this is sort of not it. Anyway, that was a really long-winded rant. That.
Do you have a like
Do you have a summary?
no, do you have a guess as to what those issues are?
Well,
Because
I
like
mean,
yeah.
I think today, like, it's pretty clear. And I guess, like, a lot of it is I'm seeing it from the lens of today. And everyone sees from their own viewpoint in history, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so what I'm seeing is, like, this is the other thing that I have gripes about with the elite. Like, that, like, they're, like, well, especially, okay, because, like, when Trump's in power, then the elite is sort of like, oh, well, everything's horrible. And it's like, and they're pointing out everything that's wrong, which is, like, it is, like, wrong. And so it's good that they point it out. But like, for example, like when Biden was like in like in office in 2020 to 2024, I remember reading this article that was like trying to say like, guys, the economy is not that bad. Why does everyone feel bad? And it's like maybe it's like that your economic indicators are wrong. Like, or what you mean when you say the economy is bad is not really like tracking with like what that actually like means to people. Like when you say the economy is good or bad, like you're sort of like implying that like for most people, like they're able to like survive, like have savings or not. But like maybe what you're saying that they're I think that it's very possible that like the economic, like for example, I think like with unemployment or something, like there's ways that you can kind of like frame that differently, right? Like there's different levels of unemployment, and so like you can kind of fudge things so it looks like unemployment is really low.
And like underemployment. Like
Underemployment, right? Like, and so you can kind of be like, oh, well, that counts as employment. That counts. We're adding jobs. We're adding. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Like, so like, so that's one thing that I sort of. Wait, what was the question that you asked me? I feel like there was.
What are the problems that?
Oh,
yeah.
the problems.
So if it's not the like increasing democratization of society, then like what is the actual real issue?
Yeah. So I think like one real issue that we're facing right now is just like massive like wealth inequality. Like, and to me it's just like very plain and like straightforward that this is just really bad. And like, there's like those famous graphs, like which is and again, this is like what sort of like gets me about the elite, because you have a lot of elite people who are arguing that it's actually not that bad. And I'm like, am I being gaslit right now? Like, I think it's just bad. Like, and then like you see like there's like those famous graphs of like how like what was it, wages tracked inflation up until about 1980. Then after 1980, inflation, or like, inflation keeps, or GDP or whatever, it's like, or productivity or something. Productivity goes this way, and wages, like real wages, go this way. And it's like, that's like, there's like, there's a point in time where it's like very clear that that is happening. And it's the point in time, like right after like the sort of neoliberal revolution. And it's like, like, guys, like, this is a problem. Like, this is really bad. Most people don't want this to be happening on both sides of the aisle, and yet our political system has done nothing. And if anything, it's gone in the opposite, the wrong direction. We've had like Citizens United. We have had like money flooding into our politics. This is just like plainly bad for everybody, except for, I don't know, like those like special interests who like want to like keep this game going. And so like to me, like that's at least like that's like one of the massive problems. And like so. I don't know, like I think this is something, I've seen some things about like how, you know, I don't know, like, yeah, even like rural America is genuinely suffering. Like, it is just a true thing. And like, again, this has sort of been maybe obscured by like party politics, because like a lot of people in the rural areas nowadays are like very red. And so like, it's like, most like of the like city like liberal elites, like we're like sort of like been like set up to be like their enemies and to think of them as like hillbillies or whatever. I think it's just like, yeah, it's really interesting. It's but like you can tell another story, like for example with like West Virginia, right? West Virginia, like around 1990, it was like heavily blue, but it like over the course of the last like 30 years it's turned into an extremely red state. And like I think like the narrative that I've heard about it that makes sense to me is that like the Democratic Party basically abandoned like unions, like across the nation. But like, and then like, so West Virginia, which is a heavily working class state, like a lot of unions, like once they were abandoned, it's like, well, yeah, duh, like like, am I gonna vote for the party that like abandoned me to like kind of like like go along with this like neoliberal agenda? Like I don't think so. Like why would it, it's like maybe I should vote for somebody who like maybe they're not like the best for me, like I don't necessarily like them all that much, but at least they're not saying that I'm stupid, and like that they're they're at least like speaking to like my concerns, like and
So I mean, that sounds like populism. Which I mean, I think that's the
if there's
the
no
whole guidance.
better alternative, like like that's the thing. Again, like also with our politics, I think it's become more about, it's less about who do I like, it's more about who do I hate. Right?
Mhm.
And it's like, well, yeah. So if all of your options suck, like it kind of makes sense. Like if you cannot, I think that is the criticism of like the Democratic establishment right now, is that like if you cannot come up with a better alternative than Trump, then it's kind of your fault. Like if you cannot do better than that guy, that's really bad for you. Like that is a bad sign for you. Like that you're that uninspiring, like that tired, like that you can't even do better than that. Like for people, like it's kind of, there's something a bit about that that's a bit on you. And so I feel like after maybe like the 2024 like presidential election, that was maybe a turning point for me a little bit, just like kind of seeing that, like just a little bit, and reading some people's reflections on that, and just that, I don't know, I think like that was a moment for me that I sort of like was like, yeah, like our system's like it yeah, I knew it was broken, but like yeah, it really is like broken. Like we need something more revolutionary. It's not enough to, there's a recent like post from Bernie Sanders that's like status quo politics are not enough, and I was like, yeah, that's basically where I'm at. That's not enough anymore. We need something more.
Seems like we just need, and this is the populism thing, but like just like normal people that can like identify and talk about the things you're talking about, like affordability.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you see a lot of those people that are just kind of able to sit down and talk, and are just like seem like genuine people. And I think people call it populism, and I think people say that there's a problem with populism, but I think like you say, a lot of like normal people in their normal beliefs like, tend to track towards the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having just like more people
Right.
that like are just that represent like normal people with normal beliefs
Yeah.
is probably like
And I will
a
say,
good thing.
I sort of come from the place, like originally when I was younger, I do come from the place of being pretty anti-revolutionary, like because like if you look at a lot of revolutions throughout history, their track record is not that great.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's true. I don't know, like, but at the same time, yeah, I think it like sort of, I think there is a way, I think there are ways to like have like sort of like better revolutions. I mean, I guess like the American Revolution is sort of one exception, although that wasn't super like populisty. I'd have to like look more into it.
Well,
Like,
also people like Zoran Mamdani, they're
Yeah.
not exactly advocating for like
right,
we will rise up with our pitchforks
right.
and
So
we
there's
will,
like a
and we
middle
will-
ground, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like not. I mean, it's like as far as I can tell, left wing populism. Well, there's like very far left wing, right? But like the type of people you see that who are populists and who are liberal, like they're not that revolutionary in the sense. I mean, it's revolutionary in the way that like the civil rights movement
Yeah,
was revolutionary, but it's not like it doesn't. Nothing. It seems like particularly like shocking to me. It's like, oh yeah, no, we should probably tax people more.
yeah.
we should probably like focus on
let's
affordability. Like it's not. I give it. I
Get
guess
to the
it's
60%. Get it back to the 60% tax rate for the billionaires. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah. And so there's like ways to be like more revolutionary and not necessarily like overthrow the government revolutionary, but yeah, to at least be like revolutionary in the sense of, like we're gonna do this like way differently. And I do see like yeah, there are ways that can go wrong. There are ways that like people are. I mean, in every age throughout history, I think like the biggest like concern is sort of like discrimination or like some form of like racism or like ethnic like scapegoating, basically, like that the masses of people can get into it. I think like what I'll say to that is that I don't think it's a problem that's special to ordinary people. Like elites are just as guilty of that throughout history and not more. So
Like you're saying, that's like the thing that you might be most worried about.
I think is like that like there could be
Like a nice a nice normal guy talking about how like we don't need X, we don't need X people in this society.
right, and that we've
But he's
seen
really
that
nice about it. He's like
sometimes.
it's like
No, yeah, I think that's the biggest. To me, that's the biggest problem. Is like sort of like when it's directed at. Throughout history, it's been like that. Like I think, like the Jews in Europe, for example, were a huge example of that. Of course, like the biggest one that we can think of is like in Hitler's, Nazi Germany. That was maybe, that's a black stain for sure. I mean, you see, like
Nazi
I guess,
Germany, yeah.
yeah. I
That's a
mean,
black stain.
it's pretty bad. Or like in the American South, I guess, like in that, that you see, there were genuinely like there were mobs that like lynched black people, like, and that's just a thing that and nowadays, of course, that we see like that many like especially like Republicans are like scapegoating like immigrants and doing terrible things to them, and it's like. So I think there is genuinely like concerns. Well, and then again, though, in each case, like there were also elites that were just as, if not more, like racist and terrible than like the people that they were leading. In these cases, the present case included. Yeah, that's the danger, I think. So there is genuinely, we need to be careful and like we need to be. But I do think, well, yeah, I mean, like for example, like there's been. When it's done well, I think it can be really good. Like Gandhi's like non-violence movement against the British India, like is maybe like a shining example of that to me. What happened after independence, maybe not so much, but he was dead by then, so it's not his fault. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm sort of like maybe a little bit more. What's the term in AI safety or whatever? Rationalist, like bullish on this, right? Bullish and bearish, right?
I don't even think that comes from that community, but yeah.
Whatever, stock market people.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
Has this changed your mind on how you view populism, Reed? Did you have a formed view on how you viewed populism?
I guess I had heard the arguments that like populism is bad and misses the mark in a lot of ways. I never really I mean, I buy it in some ways, I don't buy it in other ways. I think Kenneth mostly says the things I agree with.
Oh.
I think that like I don't know, the people I see that I get really excited about, not that I'm like particularly like politically engaged, is just like people that just like seem like nice, like they're kind people. Like even like the left wing populist people that are like again they're anti Donald Trump people. Like they don't say mean things about Trump people. They're like they seem like nice, genuine people. And I don't see like obviously Donald Trump just doesn't seem like a very nice person.
Yeah.
Who is in Donald Trump is like
yeah,
a,
especially
is a
now.
populist. Well, he never seemed like a
I
nice
know,
person.
but like
Like,
Trump 2 was just like a whole step up from Trump 1. Like that was insane.
you know, I'd like to believe that like I've heard people say like if something about like influencers will become politicians if politicians aren't going to figure out how to engage the public, then the influencers will become politicians, which is kind of like something that you see happening with like these like grassroots, people running for office that have like a YouTube channel like Zoran Mamdani, and they preach like a very like normal everyday message. I'm just like you. And maybe that's one benefit that we could have of like social media is like it's easier to see if someone is genuine and can like be like a nice person because well obviously social media is a friend anyway, but like I'd have a hard time imagining someone like Joe Biden like convincing me on camera that like, oh hey, I'm just a nice guy, we can be friends, right? Versus like Zoran Mamdani is very good at it. James Telerisco seems to be very good at it. I'm not clued into right wing media, but I don't see right wing populist people that seem like cool guys.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I feel like honestly, like the person who maybe like is like the most cool out of like the right wing influencers, maybe or least uncool, would be like Ben Shapiro.
It's so not
Which
cool.
is like right. So like it's like
Joe
everyone
Rogan. Joe Rogan maybe is like a right wing cool.
Is he right? He describes himself as independent.
I feel like
All the cool guys do though. That's the thing.
yeah, that's true. I want
Um,
to be cool like that.
or
yeah.
like Theo Vaughn, or like.
I feel like I don't like their vibes. I mean, I don't like.
But we're also liberals.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, what like
no,
me,
well,
but
that's
like
the thing. Yeah, I think like any like bro, like whatever, like some like finance bro, I'm just like like you know what I mean, like they don't even have to be a bad person.
See, this is what's so interesting too. Is like because like the every man that you relate to read is like different than every man that
Yeah.
let's say the median Republican relates to or something like this.
yeah.
I think what this reminds me of is like
Oh, but like Steven Crowder like seemed like a jerk. You know what I mean?
I think
Anyway.
if we're steel manning Stephen Crowder, it's like oh he's like speaking
Like,
truth
he,
to
like-
like an
anyway.
insane world.
Anyway, I don't want to get sued for like whatever.
This is already like I think
Right.
the most fiery three fools on the couch conversation in a while. Yeah, the analogy I'm coming to is like it's like the evolution of the archetype of like a stock trader or something. So it's like stock traders back in the day, like it's like you were like big, like physically big, you were loud because it's like there's this like hectic trading floor and you have to be like yelling your orders like across the room, like 10, buying 10 at like whatever. And then nowadays, like if you think of like a cracked trader, you think of like something like James Street shriveled like MIT graduate that's like glued to like 15 monitors or something like this. So then it seems like the politician has evolved with the advent of social media. Like we're coming to this conclusion of like, oh, like not even that you're genuine, but that you can convince people that you are genuine, and like you are like very good at that. Because that's the whole job, right? It's like
I think though I hope and I tend to believe that genuine people will have an advantage at convincing people that they're genuine.
That's the hope, yeah. One hopes so. I mean I am hopeful for people. I mean I don't know a ton about like Zoran Mamdani for example, but I don't know. Or even like I've seen like there have been some socialists like here like in Wisconsin, or and not necessarily to say like that it just has to be you have to be socialist for me to like you, but just like there's Francesca Hong, right? She seems like she has good vibes to me from what little like sort of interaction or like whatever I know about her. But yeah, like she was like what, like I think she was like a restaurant owner or something at some, like she was just and then like she just got like in because of COVID, like she got into like politics. It's like I think that is sort of like there's value, I think, and I think this is the other thing, like that elite people can get concerned, and there's this genuine concern that like if you're represented by someone who doesn't know shit, like that has its like downsides, or doesn't know like how things work, that has its downsides. On the other hand, though, I think there is real value independent of that by being represented by someone who actually represents you, like who is actually like kind of a similar person to who you are. That is genuinely beneficial in and of itself, because I think that's the thing. I'm also like, I've always been like sort of a person who I think like who privileges, like, I'm an empiricist, I guess, like I privilege like experience over like a priori rationality. And so I think like my thing is I'm always criticizing people who are like sort of like they have like these rational principles and like this is how things should work, like based on like my model. And it's like, to me, it's like if your model is like saying one thing and reality is saying the other thing, like you do need to be concerned about both. But like I'm kind of telling those people like you need to be more concerned about the model than you are. You can't just assume that your model is good. Like is my anyway. So that's to say like I really value like the virtue of like being someone who's had that experience. I value, and this I also, for activism, like for example, like I really respect and value people who like do everything that they're telling other people to do, like who like, even if they're organizers, they still show up to protests, they still like call their legislators, they still like sign petitions, whatever whatever it is, like they still do outreach, like because I think there's just like it is like performative to some extent maybe, like, but I think there's also real value in just being like I'm also willing to do all the things that I'm telling you to do. I know what it's like to do those things. I have like real experience. I know how, like all that. Anyway, so that's my whole thing. Like I appreciate people who like get their hands dirty a little bit, even though I always say that I'm more of a thinker than a doer, but I appreciate doers. So I've been forcing myself to do that.
I think a point in favor of like the let's see, the genuineness being like not something you can fake, and like this is like an earlier point in the conversation, but it's like something I learned, or like something that was I was in like a fireside chat with a politician or something who shall remain nameless, and then this person was like, oh yeah, like something interesting about the job is like you're always on. So like we're talking about like social media and stuff, like the cameras are always rolling and stuff. It's like yeah, and then this to me seems like a quality that is like very tough to have on all the time if you aren't actually it, because like you're gonna slip up.
Yeah,
like you can just like, especially like over the years or something, like people will know.
Yeah, and there's the Biden gaffes. There's the Hillary's basket of deplorables. Yeah, I guess if you go back, yeah, you can find something on those.
So could you guys become politicians without someone figuring out something that would cancel you? Like
something that.
Well, I mean,
like is it? Sometimes I wonder. It's like if you want to be a politician, like didn't you have to start when you're 16 or something, so that you've never done anything wrong, or like that you've never like had any like public like bad takes or something? But maybe that's not really that true. I don't know. So what do you guys think? Could you do it?
I have like a crazy take, which is that or something that actually, yeah, never mind. Kenneth, do you want to go?
I mean, my biggest thing is that I voted for Trump in 2020.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Kenneth, like,
it's
not Kenneth Prime. Is this Kenneth?
Yeah.
Can I call this Kenneth Prime?
Yeah, you can
The
call
Kenneth
it
Prime arc. This was insane to me
like,
when I first learned about
it
this.
was like I look back on that and I was like, oh my god, like I like that was such a horrible, like it was like one of the worst decisions I've made.
I was actually shocked to hear like this arc from you. Like, this is crazy. This is so divorced.
So
from the Kenneth I
if
know.
somebody like found out about that, or like if it would be like I'm campaigning and they're like, yeah, he voted for Trump, like and like whatever, I guess they could try to cancel me for that. I don't know if it would be successful.
I think that could be powerful because you're like, yeah, I was wrong, and here's X, Y, Z, and I own up to that. I think that if any, that could be like honestly
could be
a point in your favor.
Yeah.
I should have voted for
Is
Trump
there
in 2020. I was doing.
Is there anything else that I could be canceled for though? I mean, like I don't know, like yeah, what could I be canceled for other than that?
I guess veganism is not particularly popular.
Oh well, yeah. I guess. Well, yeah. I mean, like, I probably. Well, that's the thing. I guess I couldn't run as like
it's not so much cancelable. It's just like unpopular.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like if I was running on like a leftist platform, like then yeah, the one thing would be that I voted for Trump my first. I did vote for Kamala in 2024.
Oh, his name's clear. Guys.
So I've changed. I've changed since then, and nowadays, yeah, actually, I've started to get into like voting for primaries. So I voted for yeah. So yeah, and I wanna actually. So I don't know. Are you guys also like going to
Oh, the call.
the Colorado one?
I think that overlaps with something, and I
Ah.
can't be there. I think it'd be very cool though.
Yeah, but yeah. So there's this guy named Manny Rubino who's like pretty cool. My understanding is that like he also like as well as just like like genuinely wanting to represent the people of like Colorado well, um, but also he cares about like farmed animal welfare and like AI safety and stuff. So pretty based. So a bunch of us are planning to try to help him win the primary.
Reed, are you going to that?
I am kind of undecided. When what's the date again?
when is it?
It's like June. Wait, yes, June, like late June, so like 26th to 30th maybe was like what I remember.
Yeah, I can't make that. You
Oh.
guys have a good time though.
I want to line up the people who are going.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
It's sort of like the old guard of EA, from what I can tell.
I think
EA,
I believe Max isn't going anymore. He was on
Oh,
the fence about
no!
going.
he's like unsure. He hasn't updated us yet.
Is it you and Ryan right now? Or is that
Me, Ryan,
Casey?
Mhm.
That sounds like fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pending any like really big things I can't miss in June. I think I'll go. Yes.
Yeah. Have you done like canvassing or stuff like that before?
You know, in 2020, I worked as a door knocker
Nice.
for doing a Get Out the Vote campaign, and I got paid so much money.
Oh my god.
I got paid.
They paid you?
They paid
Oh,
me. They paid me a
Wait,
lot of money.
That's so funny.
Like
So,
especially for like me in high school. Like I don't remember what the base wage was, but it was pretty good. It was at least 15 an hour, and then there was also like
back then that was really good, huh?
there was you got bonuses for knocking on
Oh my
on
God.
more doors. If
Okay.
you
This would have sniped me as a high school student for sure.
if you referred a friend, you got like a bonus of $250.
Oh my
Shit,
gosh.
It was
that kind
like
of money.
there was like some massive
That okay,
money.
that's funny because like that goes to show like like that's the Democratic establishment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
right,
I mean, here's the thing: we were not explicitly like Democrat supporting. Like, oh, we're just trying to get out the vote, make sure everyone has a plan
get
to
out the
vote.
vote,
But
right, yeah.
but
you're getting out people in.
yeah, like, what do you think? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's like some super rich party that's like, oh, we just want more civic engagement. Like, no, surely, like, there's no way it wasn't like,
like
a
yeah, the place,
Democrat.
the place where you were, yeah.
You know,
Right. It's funny because like well, okay, so it's very different of like so our friend Max Garrett, he was I think he was the campaign manager for Rebecca Cook,
Mhm.
who represents one of the districts
it was up in Eau Claire, I believe, was where he worked.
or actually so wait, so maybe okay. Anyway, so she's like yeah, she's like she's like part of the Democratic Party, but like sort of more maybe like closer to the people, let's say.
Progressive.
Yeah, I guess progressive, and she actually, so she was like, I think it's like very contrasting to like all the other stuff. It's like she was like working as like a waitress while she was campaigning, which is insane. Like
Whoa.
to me, like that's like just goes to show like they did not have a lot of money.
Mm.
And oh, so yeah, so like she was like campaigning to represent like one of the districts in Wisconsin. I think maybe it was the one that includes Eau Claire. I'm not sure, but yeah. So Max was working for her, and then like he invited me to volunteer for a bit for that, and yeah. So we did not get paid. We were volunteers, but it was an interesting experience. Yeah, it's interesting to like just like do like canvassing for the first time, but I feel like it's kind of fun. It was a nice day too, so you just like walk around and knock on people's doors and talk to them and stuff. It's fun. Yeah, but I don't know. I would recommend it. Yeah, I think like just like especially like on a campaign where like I think it was like Reed, to your point, like it was the thing like she's not, maybe, you know, she's just a person, she's not a perfect like person or whatever, but like you could tell that like she, you know, she just wants to like, you know, I don't know, do good work for people, and like and like also that everyone else like that was working on the campaign like wanted that too, and that, so like that made it a really nice environment, and you felt like you were part of something that was really meaningful. So
I'm not even kidding. Like if I knew that there was going to be some kind of like catering for the people that were canvassing, that would significantly increase.
No.
I'm such a sucker for free food. I swear to God. Like I swear to God, it's not. If you told me that there was going to be free Chipotle there for the people canvassing, I would. It would definitely have an effect on my choice whether to go or not. I'm just gonna put that out there.
All right.
Okay, well, the two viewers, one is the CEO of something. I
Oh,
forget.
the Marriott.
The Marriott, and the
Marriott,
other
right.
is the person organizing Mandy Rutnell's canvassing thing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Who do I want to reach more? I don't know. Yeah.
So, kind of, you said something earlier that was like your, like an Imperial system that like if someone has a galaxy brain a priori model, like, oh no, you should just actually just like listen to reality.
Mhm.
Are we all familiar with the red button, blue button?
Red button,
Thing.
blue button. I'm familiar with the red button, red
The
button.
meme.
Oh,
the guy
yeah.
was like,
No.
no.
That's
This
what
is
I
like
think. The red button, red button.
This is a thought experiment, the red button, blue
Oh.
button thing.
Is this like same as red pill, blue pill?
No, it's different. Wait, Kenneth, I don't believe.
Is it
That
like
you
Newcomb's
have-
paradox?
No, it's something else.
Okay, go.
No, wait. Okay, wait, this is crazy. Okay, wait. I'm gonna look up the actual phrasing so I don't mess this up. Um,
I love a good thought experiment.
so we're gonna get your guys' answers to this, and then I'm gonna, I'm going
We're
to,
going in blind. That's even better.
yeah. Okay. Everyone in the world has to take a private
Oh.
vote.
Wait, no, we oh, Jack sent this in the group chat.
Yes, he
I
said
think I can
thoughts on the button. Yeah. So I want to make this public. What are the thoughts? Do you want me to read out the whole thing just in case?
Yeah.
Okay. Has to take a private vote by pressing a red or blue button. If more than 50% of people press the blue button, everyone survives. If less than 50% of people press the blue button, only people who press the red button survive. Which button would you press?
Yeah.
I guess like, so if you think that like being alive is better than being dead. Oh right. Well, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because I guess like you press the red button because you'd want to survive for sure. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So like, what's the game theoretic like solution to this problem?
I know the game theoretic solution to the problem.
Oh, you do.
I
Yeah,
do.
I think
Would you
it's
like
probably
to-
press the red button, isn't it?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Because you can reframe this question to be like, if you press the red button, nothing happens. If you press the blue button, and also less than 50% of people press the blue button, then you die. And all of
But
those
here's
people
like the
die.
galaxy brain thing is like, what if you're a negative utilitarian and you want everything to like poof out of existence?
This is crazy.
So like, if everyone presses the blue, wait, no, if
That
everyone-
wouldn't help.
that-
That
wait, no, then-
itself. That's the thing.
So you wait, but then the galaxy brain thing is like you're the only one who presses the red button, everyone else presses the blue button,
Mhm.
and then you're the only one who's left, and then you die.
No, but then no one would die because over 50% of people press the blue.
Oh,
button.
50%, that's right. Okay. Yeah, you can't. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. You have to have like a. I made the joke that like, is there a black button? That I said in the chat.
The thing is, when I first heard this thought experiment, my inclination was definitely like, "Oh God, I feel like I should press the blue button," but I don't know if I'm a good enough person to do that. But I was like, we need to run an advocacy campaign. Everyone needs to press the blue button, and then we'll all be okay. Just everyone do it. And then I saw the solution, and I was like, oh. And I feel like when I saw the solution as like someone in like a comment section advocating for it as like an example of like, this is why Republicans are smarter than Democrats. because well, I think it kind of does align with it, right? Because a Republican is like, it's about you look after yourself first, and if everyone does that, then like the world's gonna be okay. But you can't be sticking your nose in everyone else's business. And
Wait, someone said red.
yeah.
Button.
Oh yeah, there's Doma. I wonder how far. Okay, we're gonna do a thought. Oh, wait, how can we figure
No,
out
we
what the
can't.
delay is? It's
No,
impossible.
it's not gonna work. But let's just keep the conversation.
Okay,
going.
never mind. Okay, yeah. So
I guess we'll,
it does kind of like
see.
align with like what I think like a Republican would say. How is Kenneth still drinking?
yeah.
I feel like
Wait,
it's
he
evening.
just.
Did
it's
you
not,
take
though.
a sip of water recently?
This might be like really behind. Yeah, this for
It's
some
like
reason.
hours behind.
Wait, but no, it must not be that far behind because someone just said red button.
Wait, see, like
Well, I think the chat is not aligned with the
yeah.
playback button.
You see, this is like really old.
Okay. Well,
I'm giving this up mostly so we can see the dashboard.
Oh yeah. Anyway, well I don't care. Anyway,
well, I don't care about the viewers.
no.
Wait, red is the logical answer, Bayesianly optimal.
Yeah,
Basically
obviously, no, that's
optimal.
that's the thing. Red is definitely the right answer, but like I definitely got fooled by like my like desire to be like altruistic, but which I didn't realize that's like
Yeah, I
that's
had to
like
think through that for a bit. Yeah.
So
oh they're just now watching me talk to me. Okay, so there's like that's like a 30-second to a minute delay. Anyway, sorry.
okay, so here's some like fun also additions. So then there's like empirically when this was ran on like X, the everything app formerly known as Twitter,
Mhm.
like the blue button went out, right?
Mhm.
Like even in like repeated iterations of the game.
Interesting.
At the Wazy end of semester dinner,
Mm.
there is a question. And then now this is interesting because you're not conditioning on like everybody who has access to Twitter. You're conditioning on like everybody in the room currently. What would they press? So like this is different for like what would you guys? I think this would be fun to have a secret vote at the end of this to see what everybody us three would press and see what happens. Well, I have a guess. But then yeah, so then what ended up happening was like Reds won by like a large margin, and it's because like usually I would do the blue. But it turns out that like I'm pretty sure everyone here has like heard of this already and like has converged on the same solution, so we're just gonna go with red. And yet there were 3 blue button voters. So yeah, what does that tell you?
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
Oh, and that also the like, yeah, we need to retire the whole like greed is good argument. You know, this.
Well, yeah, I think that's like it's not actually a good
But
argument for like why you should press the red.
No.
button.
I know. I'm just saying like in general, like as like a what people believe. Like if you look out for yourself, like then actually it turns out that's good for other people. Like like and sometimes.
I just
Not
think that's
always.
really naive.
But like that's the thing. Like it's like a lot of like I feel like a lot of like elites, like even like liberal elites, like believe that. Like, you know, it's the whole like neoliberal thing.
So the galaxy, I mean, you can kind of there is kind of a galaxy brain version of this, which kind of does align with like the more like liberal protectionist view, where it's like sometimes you should protect people. So like in some ways pressing the blue button is like could be the compassionate choice because you are working to protect someone against themselves. Like you're protecting someone against their own irrationality. And if everyone did that, if every red person, here's the thing, right? If every person would press the red button because they understand it's the right thing to do, were to instead press the blue button, they would save all the stupid people, stupid people. They would save all the less, the people that didn't figure it out who decided to press the blue button. Right? And then so the only way that you would die is if like enough people pressed the red button because they were truly selfish and like wanted to preserve themselves and they didn't figure out the answer, right?
Yeah, that's.
But I think this is the galaxy. This is like the whole like you can like talk yourself in circles about.
Wait,
like,
okay,
I
so-
think this arguing goes like turtles up however many layers you
Let me think about this because like so in game theory because like the point about like Nash equilibrium is that like no single agent can unilaterally benefit from switching their own voice, right? So okay, how does this work, right? Like it's like so if you press the red button you survive no matter what,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And then if you press the blue button, you only survive if more than 50% press the blue button.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then you are always everyone who pressed the blue button would be better off if they press the red, or at least no worse off if they press the red button. So yeah, I guess then it is like it is a Nash equilibrium that everyone presses red. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Imagine, say you like did some like, demographic polling, right? And like you said, like, oh man, there's a 50-50 chance that it's going to be really close margin, right? And
Oh.
that the difference between 50% of people pressing the blue button and 49.999% of people pressing the blue button is like maybe going to be like a few hundred votes, right? It's like now it's like, well,
We have a Gore versus Bush situation, but for existence.
yeah, or even if it's simplified, say it's just one vote, right? It's 50-50 chance that you are going to be deciding vote that saves everyone, or you're gonna fall on the wrong side and you're going to die too. At this point, like it is like a genuine like a chance to like sacrifice yourself for the greater good because you've done like the demographic analysis and you know where people are leaning.
You've done your part.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, but like it feels so weird to like clearly like everyone should just press the red button because that's going to be like the way that nobody dies or like everyone can choose to not die if they just decide to press the red button. It's like the thing is it kind of irks me because like if you're not thinking deeply about this,
Yeah.
the selfish answer just happens to be like the rationally perfectly correct answer, and like the attempt to be selfless answer happens to end up be
Right.
the wrong game theoretical
Yeah.
answer.
This really says something.
Yeah. Like what's
What does it say?
I don't know. I just thought that needed to be said.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess like my thought is like, so what's interesting about this problem is not the problem itself, it's just how people react to it. Because like
Yeah.
the problem itself is actually quite trivial. You just press the red button and it's just better. Like it's not as interesting as, for example, like the prisoner's dilemma. Because the prisoner's dilemma, you get to the equilibrium where everyone is worse off than like they would have been in the cooperation state.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which that's the interesting part of the prisoner's dilemma. What's interesting about this is just that like there is like an optimal solution that is also like it's individually better, collectively better, but also some people don't press that, which is the interesting part.
I have a visitor. Hey guys. How's it going?
Oh, you have a light.
Oh yeah, because it's gone. Yeah, it's part of it.
So you guys sit here.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Do you guys guys have an opinion on the red button and blue button? Wait, how do you guys
Oh,
wait. Also, like, are you guys going somewhere if you don't want to like interrupt?
No.
Okay. Hold on.
No one spoil anything, by the way, if you know what this is. All right? Just for the rest. Okay.
All right. Everyone in the world has to take a private vote by pressing a red or blue button. If more than 50% of people press the blue button, everyone survives. If less than 50% of people press the blue button, only people who press the red button survive. Which button do you press? No, wait, don't say anything. Just think of your answer, and when you're good, put it.
If you press blue button, everyone who press red survives.
No, everyone.
No.
If more than 50% of people press the blue button, everyone
Everyone.
survives no matter what.
If
Right.
less than 50% of people press the blue button, only people who press the red button survive.
Wait, do the voters know this information? Like before they
Yes,
Yeah.
we are the voters.
It's just a private vote. So like have it in your head, and when you know what you're gonna vote for,
We-
put a
we-
thumbs up.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, okay. So we can do like hold a number behind your back. Okay, one is the red button, 2 is the blue button.
Okay.
People get it?
Right. So blue button means everyone survives. If more than 50%.
If more than 50% press the blue button, everyone survives. If less than 50% of people press the blue button, only people who press the red button survive.
This is one of those things that there seems to be a first glance obvious answer, but there is a second more complicated.
Well,
I'm curious,
Don't say anything.
We'll
We're
see.
not
We'll
gonna
see.
say
Yeah, I'm
anything.
curious once you vote what your
Maybe
honest
there
answer
is, maybe there isn't.
all right.
Also, it's
What-
weird.
What's that?
One means
One
red.
is red and 2 is blue.
And then question is what would I press?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. Wait. Which one's which? One is red, 2 is blue.
yeah.
That's the reverse order.
Okay, one is blue, 2 is red. One is blue, 2 is red.
Okay. Everyone give a thumbs up when they're ready.
All right. Ready? Set.
3.
Wait,
two-
which one was? What? So
One is blue, 2 is
2
red.
is red. Okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Dude, are you guys dumb?
Wait, why?
No, we're safe. Oh, yeah. See, Jeremy's the good person. This is so cool. Okay.
Wait, did you know?
Optimal to go blue.
Okay, so I'll rephrase the question now. If you press the red button, nothing happens. If you press the blue button, and also less than 50% of people press the blue button, then you and everyone else who press the blue button die. This is the equivalent question.
Wait, what? Wait.
Okay.
So, like,
Let's say it in its original form again.
Yeah, okay, so here's the original form. If more than 50% of people press the blue button, everyone survives. If less than 50% of people press the blue button, only people who press the red button survive. So that's the original.
So basically, if more 50% plus red, then only red survives.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah, only people who press red.
Wait,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, the reverse framing of this, that is equivalent, just differently phrased, is if you press the red button, nothing happens.
okay, but why would
To you.
if a voter hears this, why would they want to vote red?
Because so if everyone votes red, if everybody votes red, nobody will die, right?
Right.
So why wouldn't everyone just realize that?
I
Oh,
think it's a
we should just vote
Because,
red.
because hitting everybody voting red is a harder goal than only 50% of people voting blue.
See, that's interesting.
Hmm.
But if everyone was perfectly rational,
But oh yeah, that's
Right?
the thing though. Yeah,
Everyone's
that's
perfectly
right.
rational. Blue is the obvious choice, right?
because then no one dies.
Yeah.
Bold claim.
Because getting over the 50% threshold is a lot easier than
Well, but like I guess you think about
Mm.
it from like a game theory perspective though. Like so, right? Game theory is about like, so for any individual can
Josh.
like you want to do like you want to do like
I have to say,
you want to make the choice such that you cannot unilaterally by yourself like do any better for yourself. So like if you're faced with a choice between blue and red, if you choose red, like you can't do better than that because like you survive. Like if you're just thinking like very selfishly, right?
Right.
Whereas like if you choose blue, like there's two eventualities. One is like more than 50% choose blue, in which case it's equal to red. And the other eventuality is that like less than 50% of people choose blue,
oh, I see.
which is that you die, which is worse. So blue is strictly worse than red, or not? Yes, I think it is, or maybe it's weak. Whatever. We don't have to get into that. But basically, blue is worse than red for you, and so if you assume everyone else is thinking the same way, then you should press red.
Okay, because the blue gives you the chance of messing up.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah. So if you evaluate the like completely logically, like with just your selfish intentions in mind, and you hope that everyone else has the same
Yeah, exactly.
intentions as you, then sure.
But if you have herd mentality, then you should.
Well,
As we've seen empirically play out.
Yeah.
like the entire world being as smart as you are.
yeah,
But
that's
if
true.
You rely on everyone.
But it's very strange because it's like you're also depending on other people. Like so it's weird because like it doesn't have any source. Like you know what I mean? Like it has to like you're the reason that you press blue is because you think other people would already press blue.
Yeah.
Whereas the reason that you press red is it can be entirely dependent on yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the interesting thing.
So in
By
this,
the way, you guys are on. We're on live
oh yeah,
streaming.
we're yeah.
Podcasting.
Well, it's just cool. In this scenario, I know for sure that Jeremy knew like the game theoretical answer because we just talked about this before you guys came in,
Uh-huh.
and yet he still voted blue, and as a result, like everybody's life
You voted blue because you knew what we would vote.
was saved. Yeah, and like me, like I didn't. Well, I mean, I voted red, so I'm like kind of a bad person in the scenario. But I thought like I figured that people here would have heard of it, so I would like
Oh,
oh
that's
then,
interesting. 'Cause I don't know, like, if I hadn't had the time and also I hadn't been able to, like, verbally reason it out, I don't know, like, if I would.
Because it seems really simple. It
Yeah.
seems really simple.
Like, I might have, like, chosen blue, like, if I had just, like, had, like, the same amount of time as you guys did to think about it.
Mhm.
I still even if I thought about this all over again, I still would pick blue just because I don't trust everyone else in the room.
It's really
Right.
interesting.
And
You don't trust everyone else to be self-interested?
Yeah, because like the easiest thing in my mind is it's easier to hit 50% than it is to hit all percent. And my
Yeah, I guess that
presentation
kinda makes
is how much
sense.
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, yeah.
Wait, Jeremy, when you rephrased it, you said if you hit red, nothing happens. You mean nothing happens to you.
Yeah, nothing happens to you, as I
Other
should
people
say.
who chose blue could not.
Unless unless
Yeah, but like,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess we have to see like maybe someone has like made a
Well,
proof
unless
of like
you
if it's the
get
same thing.
50%
Yeah.
lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree that like I framed it as equivalently phrased, but it's not actually.
Yeah, I wonder if it is
Can I
though.
hear the phrasing again? I just want to.
Oh no, this is like off the top of my dome. So it's like okay, like so then the rationale from the red perspective is like this is roughly equivalent, just like only for yourself.
For you, yeah. Yeah.
If you press the red button, guaranteed nothing happens to you.
You definitely.
Yeah. If you press the blue button, and also then there's like a chance if like less than 50% of everybody else also presses the blue button,
Well,
that
it's
you
not
just
that
die.
it's guaranteed that nothing happens to you. It's guaranteed that your choice does not implicate you. The choices of others can implicate you.
Wait,
That's
implicated.
Only if you press
If you
blue.
press,
though.
if you press red.
If you press red, then you live no matter what.
Yeah, nothing happens.
Oh,
To you.
you never. You just
Well, Wait,
Because if you press red, then the other options are you get 50% blue, which means nothing, no one dies. Or less than 50% blue, which means that red survive. If you press red, so you survive.
oh, I see. Okay, so this is the game theory part. Right, okay.
Yeah. It's like if you could draw out the Punnett square, right, and
Oh,
see
no.
it out, right? Like you would realize that, like, oh, everyone would realize, oh, if I press red, I'm gonna survive no matter what, and they'd realize, oh, everyone else will realize that too, and so we'll all just press
Yeah,
red.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's the thing is,
It'd be
people
interesting
you
to
can't
do
draw.
that at the beginning and end of a game theory course.
I feel like this connects back really well to our conversation on populism and stuff.
It does. It really
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
If you don't think about it, blue is the obvious choice. The majority of the world is not going to think about it. So
But is some but how selfish is the majority of the world as well, right? Because if you're like purely self-interested, you'd be like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
save
think- I
myself
think it is,
first.
like,
I'm not
if
gonna
you're-
risk my own life
If you're
to save other
purely
people.
self-interested, I think it would be pretty obvious that you should press red.
really, it
Yeah.
wasn't obvious to me.
Okay.
Well, I don't. Are you
Or it'd be
self-interested?
more.
though?
It would be more.
I feel like you were being. I feel like
If
you
you
were
were-
like
if you
had
were
the
thinking-
group's interest in mind when
Yeah.
you picked blue.
I also think part of the problem is I kind of misunderstood the question.
Yeah, that's a very pretty complicated question.
Yeah. But just like, I feel like the way you described it, it's just, I don't know. I don't care
Oh, well, there you go.
Cool.
I do feel like there's a lot of words in that question. So,
It is an interesting question.
yeah,
Where's your
not one that we ever have.
So I went like viral on Twitter. Do you guys want to guess which side won? Correct.
So no
about
one
it.
died.
Real
No one dies.
Yes.
That would be really interesting. What if you were like you did the question?
Choose red and like either the rest of the world picks blue or
Either those guys die,
Yeah.
and you're fine. Otherwise, yeah.
you're fine.
Yeah.
regardless.
What would happen if you did the question, but then you informed people that in a previous trial version that most people picked blue, or what was it? Right, most people picked blue. Would that change anything?
Well, it hasn't changed anything for me.
It doesn't change anything for you, right?
If I make more people pick blue.
Right.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's like
it
it's
makes-
safer or something.
Well, because like then they'd be like, if most people,
Where, like, if you see many people do it before you
Our
are.
mentality.
Yeah, that's the yeah.
Monkey see, monkey do. That's the. I think that's the official term.
I think the like ease of like which target is easier angle is like makes it the most clear to me. Like
Yeah.
why blue is an obvious choice for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's like you could lower it even more. You like only 1% of the population picks blue, then everyone survives, right? That makes it
Yeah.
like it doesn't change what the game theoretical optimal answer is, but it makes it. If you're trying to be like more galaxy brain scheming about it, it makes it easier to go blue.
go blue, guys.
Go home.
Get the vote out. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to?
Slash theme of your podcast?
We kind of just let it emerge spontaneously. Today's was very political, which I was not expecting, but I guess it's like kind of yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna rename this one from the three fools briefly reunite to the three fools get political.
All right. Cool. Just out of curiosity, how many views have we had cumulative on like the last 3 podcasts we've
I
made?
want to say 200 total.
No way, really? That many?
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm actually
Well,
so
like that,
surprised.
yeah, that's cumulative. Yeah.
I guess that's like
That's-
watching it any
that's like-
time, right? Like someone clicked on the video and watched
So-
it. Is it like what percent of
Are there any
the
viewers right now?
What's up?
Are there any viewers?
are there?
Not right now. I mean, we had some comments. I think the last
We have
one
21
did,
views on this video.
Yeah,
Wow.
the last one you did was like we went all out. There were like people calling in during the podcast, and like
Oh, nice.
Brendan was there actually. I don't know if you.
Brennan?
Yeah.
You with your phone number out there?
Yeah, the last time we did this was 9 months ago. Brendan calls in, and then
9
we
weeks ago? That's crazy.
yeah, Brendan calls in.
That actually seems sooner than I thought we did the last
So
one.
did you guys like give out like your phone numbers or something?
I think I just like on my Instagram I told people, oh, by the way, you could do this.
So how did they call you?
What?
How did they call you?
Like, probably you can FaceTime on
Right.
Instagram, I believe,
Oh.
right? Is
Or
that
no,
what
like
it was?
when I was like advertising this on Instagram, like or
Oh,
something.
I'm sure some of the people like you have their phone numbers, they have yours, right?
Yes, yeah. That's like kind of a pre-screen.
What
Yeah.
was Brennan's question?
Oh, Brennan, I forget. I just remember with Brennan we talked about like black holes or something.
Were
like
we
that.
reacting to the shrimp video?
Yes.
I
I
think
don't
that
think.
was with
I think that was
with
later.
Brian.
Yeah, that was with Brian. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Do we want to end this one off here?
We should like have a conclusion.
Okay.
So
What if we talk about what's something we changed our mind about through
In
this
this
in this
conversation?
conversation?
I really want to keep pulling on the thread of, or I guess this is like solidified my people are like generally smart in some way, and like it's a really important duty to figure out why, like the reasonable, like if someone is being unreasonable to you, it is your job to figure out what is reasonable about their behavior. Like to a point, obviously, but like I think this is a duty that more people should take up.
especially if you're a politician.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with smear camp. I understand better now why smear campaigns have their place and why it pays to be mean sometimes in the interest of advocacy.
This is also new knowledge to me. Yeah.
I'm pressing the red button. I think what I changed my mind about was I think like maybe I've been persuaded to be a little more like at least for the moment a little more cautious about at least I want to think about like what the alternative is to like having some of the like elite safeguards on things or whatever like that they have and stuff or like being a little more cautious about like being like go out and protest like maybe like being like let's think about how specifically we want to do it and whether that's good or not.
It's good.
That's probably it. Oh, and then I think the other thing I wanted to maybe we could close off with is like so you're graduating, Jeremy.
Yes, I am graduating. Yeah.
And so I don't know.
You want to
I
get
guess-
closer to the mic because there's like more.
Yeah.
things
So
happening.
you are. So you're graduating, and Ryan's also graduating, and I guess this is kind of like. So first of all, like that means like pretty much everyone in our in like the Muzak and Potatoes chat is graduated now.
Yeah, it's a new stage.
It's a new stage for all of us.
Like a larval. I think probably like the butterfly stage or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I don't know, and also feels a bit sad to me, honestly, because like I mean, Reed, you'll still be here. Casey will still be here, at least for now. But it's sort of it really is like a new chapter. I feel like I don't know. We can reflect on that maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Well, there's always a base of operations in Madison, Wisconsin. I
There
think.
is.
At least for now.
For now,
Who knows?
Perhaps it'll move.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. Yeah, will I publicly commit you to publicly proclaiming that like I can crash at your place or whatever, or guest at your place?
Yes. You can
Yes?
get something.
Okay.
Oh man.
Thank you.
I would have loved to talk about Lothlorien at this time, but it's over. It's too late. It'll be for the next.
Maybe next time,
next
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll find each other again, I'm sure.
yeah. How do you feel about graduating, Jeremy?
I was telling everyone about this. There's like, I think I was in the denial stage for like a really long time. I think there was like until maybe last week, I was still waiting for the notification to come in that I had failed one of my classes. I'm being like actually serious about this. Like I actually thought like I was gonna fail a class, which is like kind of silly because the hardest class I took ended up being like a B. You know, like but like from my perspective, like I was taking my foot off the gas because like I had so much like other things going on, like job hunts and like everything else.
Yeah.
So it's like it felt weird to not take academics seriously.
Yeah.
So like I like flip flopped and pendulum into like, oh, obviously I'm gonna fail everything. So yeah, there was still this persistent fear, like even during the graduation ceremony, that I was gonna get called back and I'd have to stay here.
Yeah.
And it still has not set in that I just got a text from the person I'm subleasing from.
Are you sure it's not a text from the dean?
Oh my god! No, that this Monday evening, I'm gonna be in an apartment in Berkeley, which is like, you know, it's like not different to me because like I've been there a couple of times and my family's also from California, but I'm not going to be in Madison. I'm going to be working full time, like in an apartment that's my own. And yeah, I won't have you guys, which is like sad. Like I think I've like lucked out and like this is like the top percentile job I could have in that like I am with a community that like I really like and like I have like prior interactions with. I was reflecting that like my both sets of grandparents like immigrated to the United States and they knew nobody. That is insane to me. Like I'm just moving from like one state to the next and like I still feel like this is a gigantic transition. So it's like yeah, I don't know, I'm like not empathizing but sympathizing with what you had to go with kind of like both right out of your undergrad and then now with your PhD. It's like must be very tough.
Well,
Yeah, that's what's on my mind.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Because
Congratulations.
you've always been someone that I mean, obviously, I've always known you to be a very hardworking person, very intelligent, and sometimes you have mentioned that you feel like anxious about like finding a job or like passing a class. It's always just seemed crazy to me because you've always seemed like one of the most capable people that I know. So better believe it, because hey, man, you're doing great, and I'm very happy for you. I'm very proud of you, and yeah, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. What he said.
Like you said, I will say there's a chance, however slim, that Wazy will be setting up a leadership retreat, and I will be maybe coming back for that. So
Oh.
we're gonna have to see what happens there. Might make a stop in Pittsburgh. We're gonna see.
Oh.
Yeah.
Always welcome.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, in the words of a fellow who will remain nameless, but I'll refer to by his initials RK. It's been real. It's been nice. It's been real nice.
Amen to that.
Bye, guys.
Bye.